Well, hey there, everybody. Hi, it's my birthday. Welcome to Demystifying Government Contracting. We meet every Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. without fail. I mean, birthday, rain, sunshine, the day after Christmas, uh, the day after New Year's, it doesn't matter. We are here. But guess what? Today's a special day. It's my birthday. Yes, it's my birthday. And I know you guys might say, oh, you got to be crazy doing this on your birthday. Well, if you know me, and I've got my daughter Bria with me, she said, "What do you want to do, Mom?" And I said, "I want you to ask me some questions and help people get to know me more." She has known me all of her life, and all of her life I've been talking to her about leadership. So I'm looking forward to that. We may also have some of our normal experts joining us in the chat. Welcome and thank you for coming. So Bree, um, girl, just go ahead and tell them um, about growing up. First, introduce yourself. Say whatever you want to say, and then tell them what's it been like being the daughter of GI.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bria Ince. I have loved being a Air Force brat. It has helped me be who I am today and be confident in who I am today. It has been amazing to not only be her daughter, but have a chance to also be on the podcast. I am also into government contracting. Again, like I said before, I have been influenced by my upbringing. So I have really enjoyed the experience, and I have been an entrepreneur and even have helped others who are entrepreneurs as well. So I'm so excited to interview my mom, hear the discussion for today, and ask some questions myself.
Yes, and we'll be taking questions. Isn't that right?
Of course.
Well, also we have before I introduce my other sister who has joined me, Lori Smith. Let me tell you, Brianna has been 50 years old since the day she was born. When Brianna was born, it was, you would have thought royalty had arrived. I was at Ellsworth Air Force Base. I was the commander of a services squadron with 400 people, and you might say I don't need a lot of sleep. So, when Brianna arrived, everybody thought that was the best thing, especially those in my squadron under my command, thought that was the best thing that had ever happened because no more surprise visits at midnight at the dining facility or chow hall, no more visits, at lodging or the fitness center. Now I would have a daughter to take care of, so there were flowers lined every inch of that room in celebration of her. And the other thing was that, guess what, they'd never had, the base had never had a woman that senior or in command be pregnant. So they just were excited to help me usher her in. And she is a master at organizing. I call her Bomb Bomb is my nickname, boss of mom. And she is an amazing organizer. Now I can't even say aspiring leader. She's been a leader all her life. She has been my accountability partner. Absolutely no fear on telling mommy about herself. And I have appreciated that. But most of all, I'm proud of the young woman that she's become. She's an executive assistant to a senior government official for a small veteran-owned business, and is just doing an outstanding job and has received several promotions. And it is my absolute delight to be her mom. And I always say, if I did not, if I even if I wasn't her mother and the mother of her brother, um, I would be proud to know them. And she's making her mark in the world, just like her alma mater says. We are women changing the world. So thanks, Bree.
Of course, and thank you so much for your kind words. So, if you don't mind, I would love to start getting
No,
into
no,
and
no.
asking
We
you some.
got somebody else that joined us. I don't know if you saw Miss Lori on the
Oh, I'm so
stage. I
sorry.
just No, no. So we'll come. I'm going to get to that. I want to introduce Lori Smith, one of our experts that normally joins us every week. Bree, she is an Air Force veteran. She is my sister in service. She has done some tremendous work in the government contracting space. She was a contracting professional and extraordinaire in her military time. And then she came over to the Department of Veteran Affairs, where she ran a very critical program that ensures veterans receive care. And that is, she ran the community care program, where guess what? She made sure that if VA facilities could not meet the needs of veterans, medical needs of veterans, she ensured that contractors and other medical professionals outside the VA network could and did that Hallmark program. They're still trying to call her back because her absence is left, but is missed. But I'm just honored always to be in her presence. And she's a woman of God. She's got her own business. She's working almost finished with her PhD, and as she is influencing the future acquisitions career field by being a management concepts consultant and instructor trainer. Thanks, Lori, for joining me. And I just can't thank you enough for your unwavering support.
Well, always happy and welcome to be here. You're phenomenal. Happy birthday. I was recording you a song, but then I couldn't get all the copyrights and all that stuff done. So I said, oh, I'll just forego it this time. But we'll sing happy birthday to you before we go up out of here. But I'm just happy to just sit here in the room with you all, and I'm excited for your daughter to interview you. This is super awesome. It's always good when we can see ourselves and just know that the seeds that we sow, the benefit that we reap is always in kind. So excited about tonight and just can't wait for her to just dive in here with you. So very excited. But thank you so much and happy birthday, lady.
Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see we've been joined by Chanel, another one of our amazing business coaches and advisors. If you are looking for, someone who understands the tech community and who's helping tech companies transition into government contracting, that's Chanel. She's got great influence in the LA area with the LA Chamber of Commerce. And I just thank you for joining us, and I appreciate your support, Chanel. I don't know if you can hear me. Let's see here. Yep, you're on.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Happy birthday, GI.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to sit in. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And thank you, GI, for doing this every week and sharing your influence with us in this platform.
Yes, and if you will help me manage the chat on the LinkedIn side, and if there's any questions people have, that are around business and leadership, bring them to my or Brianna's Bree's attention.
Got it.
Thank you so much. Welcome again, Bree. Over to you, lady. What you got?
Okay, so to get it started, of course, I am the young generation, so I'm going to kick it off on understanding your point of view as an influencer in particular. So my question for you is, could you share more about your journey as an influencer for the government and how it shaped your perspective on leadership?
Oh, wow, wow, wow. She trying to stump me up here. You you see her, Lori and Chanel. She trying to get me stumped up. But yeah, so let me just say thanks for that question. The journey as an influencer, was by accident. And I love to tell this story. Brianna is an amazing photographer, but She has, that gift of she wants everything to be perfect. So she treats her amazing gift as a novice skill, but she's an amazing photographer. So uh, in uh, in November of 2018, um, we went to the First Baptist Church of Glenarden. Always has this big, it's in Maryland. It's a big mega church. They have this veteran owned or veteran breakfast, and they ask all the veterans to wear their uniform. Well, I put on some weight, so I couldn't fit in my uniform. And those of us who are in the uniform know you don't just go and buy a new uniform. That's like anywhere from could be $500-$600 or even more. The uniform is probably about $300, and everything else to go on it is just extremely expensive. So I said, "Hey, I'm not going to buy a new uniform." I came up with this idea, and I said, "I'm going to put everything that's on my uniform on my hat." And so Brianna and I went to the breakfast, and she took some pictures. I put them on Facebook, and I got a message from one of my senior general officer mentors, and they said, "Michelle, I don't think that's in regulation." And I said, Mm, "Probably isn't, sir. I'm not in the military." And he says, "Well, there's a regulation that says, you know, um, how retirees can wear their uniform." And I said, "Yeah, I do understand." I'm like, "Sir, I'm not trying to deface the uniform. I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to honor my service." And he said, "Okay." And you probably wouldn't even know the GI brand if it wasn't for that. Uh, but then he had a fellow colonel friend of mine send me the Air Force regulation that said, this is how retirees can wear their uniforms. And then I was a little bit mad. I was, kind of like, "Hey, what is the big deal? I don't get it." So anyway, I had a little attitude about it, and then I had decided I was going to um, um, work on my brand and take some professional photos for LinkedIn. So for my birthday, in 2019, I flew down to Atlanta uh, to um, to visit Nick Nelson. If you don't know Nick Nelson, the brandpreneur, one of the most amazing photographers and branding folks for people of color, companies who are interested in, branding to the minority community. And I said, I'm just going to throw the same hat and the same dress in the suitcase so I can uh, and take a picture in it, taking a professional, so to speak, picture in it. Well, guess what? That was the very first outfit I put on. And when I walked out, Nick said, "Oh my God, this is your gift to me." And I didn't think anything of it. You can go to YouTube and see the little mini, you know, video he did. But it also was my LinkedIn banner picture until probably a couple of months ago, and I updated the salute photo. But it took me 6 months from January until June to post that picture because I thought I looked too feminine, and I had never seen myself um, in uniform in that in a feminine way, right? And I know that's probably just because I'm thinking about commanding troops and airmen and getting things done. I just never saw myself that. I just saw myself as a leader. And so when I posted that picture, um, everybody loved it. I mean, the reviews I got, people were like, "Oh my God, that's perfect. That's you." And I was like, "Really? That's me? That's not how I see myself." And so the power of photos and branding is so important, right? And so, that's how the GI brand got started. Then I said, I took a boot camp class from Nick Nelson. And, one of the things he says is, um, what do you stand for? What are you about? And so I took a sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper, and I drew a horizontal and a vertical line. And in those 4 squares, I put the first, square at the top right hand corner. I said, what do I want to be known for? And I listed, I want to be a thought leader in leadership and in small business, right? I want to be um, a person who gives visibility, to others, who gives visibility to success of minorities in the military arena. And and then in the next box, so it's a square in the top right hand corner, I put, here's what I'm not going to be about. And many of those things, while important, I did not want or think that I had enough passion for it or enough information or education in it to talk about it. So you will rarely hear me talk about veteran unemployment, veteran homelessness, military sexual trauma, military disciplinary actions, or negative policies. I just don't. I also don't talk, religion, politics, and generally I don't talk race. If I talk race, I talk it in a very narrow box, and it's not that I don't have opinions on those things. I just don't believe that I should be having public debate about my opinions. And if you know me, I'm very opinionated. I believe what I believe. I know what I know. I'm going to share that, but having a public debate is not my thing. And then in the bottom right hand corner, I said, what are the things that I'm passionate about? I'm passionate about women. I'm passionate about women in leadership. I'm passionate about minorities in leadership. Right. I'm passionate about. I've been a cheerleader since I was 8 years old at the Army base with my dad. So I cheered all the way up and through high school. I didn't cheer in college. I didn't have the moves, of a historically Black college at Tuskegee. But I was a cheerleader. So I am a cheerleader. Some people would say I have the gift of edification. I like to edify others, give others a great reputation to live up to. That's a quote by Dale Carnegie. But I am all about shining light on those who are doing amazing things, who are making amazing progress, who have gifts that they may not know about. And, I want to hold a mirror up and share it and say, let me show you what God sees. Let me show you what I see. Let me show you what the world sees. So in that box is all about the types of people that I want to give visibility to. And for those of you who are just joining, I'm talking about my one-page strategy of how I embarked on my LinkedIn or influencer journey in January of 2019. So in the top left-hand box was what I'm going to, what I stand for. The top right-hand box was the things I'm not going to talk about. The bottom right-hand box was all about, things that I'm passionate about. And then in the bottom box, I said, I'm going to talk about family, things that I love, but I'm going to do them in a very narrow and specific way. And what I mean by that is, you'll rarely see me post about my family, not because they're not important, but I respect their boundaries of how they want to show up on social media. I have other passions. I'm a avid strategic thrift shopper, if you don't know that about me. I thrift worldwide. It doesn't matter, Japan, Texas, Las Vegas, LA. I research the zip codes. I do my market research just like I tell the businesses to do. I research the richest zip codes in the city, wherever we're traveling or wherever I'm traveling. And then I look for consignment and designer shops there, and I go there. I mean, I just map it out, and that's part of what we do when we're on vacation. And then, I love to garden. I love to walk. I need to do more of that. But that's kind of how the GI journey started. And then I just decided, like anything, I don't have the bandwidth to do everything. And I always tell businesses, if you try to do everything or you try to be everything to everybody, then you're going to be nothing to nobody. And so, I decided LinkedIn. I loved LinkedIn because LinkedIn, about business, right? And I've been, in the entrepreneurial space most of all of my adult life. Even in the military, I was in the entrepreneurial space. I've been in the profit law space all of my adult life. So that's why LinkedIn appealed to me. And for those of you who don't know, who are shy about LinkedIn, come on in. The water is just fine. And the reason I'm saying that is because LinkedIn just passed 1 billion people on the platform, and only 3% are posting. So I decided I was going to post every single day. That got to be hard. Post, at least 3 times a week. I try to do that. I've taken breaks, for whatever reason, personal or professional. But I just believed I could only master one social media platform at a time. And so that's why I went after LinkedIn. And then I decided I needed a mentor. Michael Quinn, who is probably, if not the top, he's in the top 3 influencers on LinkedIn. He's all about, military and veteran transition and employment. I started following him. I started doing what he did. I started asking him questions in the DM. And I didn't meet him until 2 years ago. After I'd been following him and he'd been mentoring me, he came up to me because of my blonde mohawk. Y'all see I've got a platinum braid now. But he said, GI? And I said, yeah. And, that was our first in-person meeting. But he mentored me from afar, and he was very generous. And then after being on LinkedIn maybe a year, I decided I needed a goal. And I said I wanted to be a LinkedIn influencer. And so I asked him about how did he do that. And, he gave me some guidance. And then in 2021, November 2021, I was one of 10 veterans named as a LinkedIn top voice for the military community. So, before we go, I want to thank everyone for joining. Thanks, Tanisha, Ileana, Christy. Thank you so much for joining. And again, I want to thank Chanel and Lori. Bree?
Yes, that was an amazing answer. And I feel like for everybody who's new or, of course, is not aware of your journey, that definitely gave them a plethora of information on how you got there, why you're so passionate, and then also just to inspire others, like you said, to jump on LinkedIn and not be scared, because it is an amazing platform. And we're all here to help people understand and also help people navigate their professional careers. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And so, are you ready for the next question?
Yeah, let me ask it. Let me say, let me just type in here, ask me anything. Okay. So if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, and I will I'll answer it. I'll guess who's just joined us, Bree.
Ooh.
Mr. JD Wasani and Priya's father just joined. Remember him from
Hello.
Hatfield?
Happy birthday, GI. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you popping in here. Um, did you have a question, or are you just hanging out with us today, JD? And oh, by the way, JD is a superstar. acquisition executive for a federal agency. He has been a operational acquisition commander. That means, over in Iraq and Afghanistan, he was procuring goods and services so that we could do our mission over there. And he's retired colonel and now is doing that for his government agency. And I'm so proud of him. And he's just an absolute superstar. And he joins us and shares his knowledge with us occasionally as well.
GI, you're so modest, and I thank you for that. I would always say, and this is a group for it, as iron sharpens iron. That's how we strive for excellence. I did want to ask you a question, GI.
Sure, please.
And this is more for the audience as well as for me. What has been your greatest challenge over your years of having so much experience?
Ooh.
You can limit it to one. It might be more, but you can limit it to one.
My greatest challenge, and would you say the rest of it?
Over your years of gaining experience in all the various domains that you've been in, whether it's the military, whether it is contracting, services, you like it?
I'm going to say my greatest challenge has been me. Okay, and I just, if you get older, you get wiser. And, many times you think something's wrong with them, but as you grow as a leader and you become more knowledgeable, and this is something I tell my kids all the time, the hardest person to lead is yourself. Work on leading yourself. Know who you are as a leader. And sometimes we think we know, just like we think we know everything, we think we know everything about ourselves. But it is, through challenges, through different scenarios, different people, personalities, help you get to know yourself. Because, they say, when you put a tea bag in hot water, what's in it is going to come out, and that might be, black tea, it might be ginger tea, it might be, green tea, but what's in you is going to come out. And sometimes there are people and situations that bring things out of you. So I would say, the hardest challenge has been me because, oftentimes, I'm going to, sound like they say the good old war stories. There are times when you learn that you are not that important as you think you are. Sometimes when we're going through things, we think it's about us. It seems targeted at us. But in reality, it is, as my mentor, my amazing 13th disciple mentor, Clint Wallace, Colonel, retired Air Force, said to me, he said, Michelle, it's more about who they are not and more about who you are. And, I can think of, situations where, I felt like I was being treated unfairly. But reality is that if there would have been another Black female in that same situation, they might have received the same kind of treatment. And so it's more about who they are not, and more about who, you are. The second thing I would say is, I learned not to take myself that serious. I am a happy, serious person. And so many times I would take myself a little too serious, and I would be a little too intense. And, as I've gotten older, and I think I said on a recent podcast, all women should take acting lessons. Or maybe I should just start a class where it's facial expression lessons, how not to have those expressions that that get you in trouble. Because, if I don't agree with you, I you're probably gonna know it on my face, right? And so, um, managing our face, and then we want to know, well, why is he treating me that way? Because he's up there thinking he had this brilliant idea, and you're looking at him like that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So I think, that's so managing our emotions is another one, right? I learned early, because I came in the Air Force in the early 80s. And so my female mentors, and I'm about to do a post about this. We just had our eighth um, general, Black female general, um, confirmed in the history of the United States Air Force. 8. Now I know Coast Guard just got their first, right? But the 8th. So I was the first Black female colonel in my particular specialty. I'm number 2 out of Tuskegee. And I say this all to say that, the era in which I came up with, and oh, by the way, the 8th one, I'm going to say this, that just got selected, General Select Kaylee Stevens is the first since the year 2001. Okay, so 23 years, the Air Force has not promoted a Black female to general. That's one. 2, she's the first Black female to be the daughter of an African American general. Right? How amazing is that? But that then goes to say that, the women that came up in my era taught me you do not cry. And that's why I did a post maybe a while back when Woman King came out, and there was a line in there that said, if you want to be a warrior, you must kill your tears. That was the era of which I was raised in. And my children will tell you I'm pretty non-emotional. They get a lot of laughs out of me crying about happy things. But when things are hard or sad, I rarely cry. One, I worked mortuary and, delivered bad news to family members my entire 27 years. So I'm kind of calloused in that way. But the women said, to me, and this really made sense, that if you are emotional, men will not follow you. Well, now, it is okay to be emotional. It's okay for men and women to cry, but it worked for me, right? It worked for me. I would get in my car. I can remember a time when I was on leave, when I was the deputy base commander at Hanscom Air Force Base, where you were, JD. And I came back, and my boss called me in and said, we need to go see the wing commander. I'm going like, okay, what did I do? Am I in trouble? Well, while I was gone, the base had failed a self-inspection by higher headquarters for the operational readiness inspection. And somebody thought it was a great idea to say I was going to be in charge of getting the base ready to pass the operational readiness inspection that was coming in 3 months. I thought it was a setup. I'm like, oh my God, right? And I was like, okay, I I don't know why they think I can do this. I can't do this. And this is the benefit of having a mentor. So I called Colonel Wallace and I said, I'm ranting and raving. This is a setup. They don't want me to make colonel. And they, if I fail, it'll be excuse for them not to promote me. That was all my self-talk. And that's another thing. That's why I said the biggest, hurdle has been me. But it's awesome to be, blessed. I said, if you can have many mentors, you are highly blessed. But if you get one that gets you, that sees you, that believes in you, get out of the way. He said to me, Michelle, I hear you. I understand everything that you're saying is true. If you fail, you're probably right. That is what's going to happen. He said, but Phil Jackson, coaches, Chicago Bulls. I said, yes, sir. He said, do you think Phil Jackson would leave Michael Jordan on the bench going into the final, championship? And I sat back and I said, well, probably wouldn't, sir. He said, so why do you think they would leave you on the bench? You can do it. The rest is history. We got the best rating that we'd had in 10 years because the base hadn't been inspected in 10 years. You were there for that, JD.
Oh yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows if I want to win, I want to win all the time. First of all, don't get it twisted. Everything I do, it might look like I'm playing, but I want to win. And failure is not an option. And failure means is a high bar, because even when other people think that that was great, you won, in my mind, I envisioned something higher, better, and I didn't achieve it. So I'm not really good about okay, Bree, I see somebody else has a question too. Thanks. I'm not really good about celebrating my success because I'm on to the next. The only person I'm competing against is myself. And that's why I work so hard to keep my mind straight, right? I don't listen to news a lot. It's negative. I am not available for negative people. My daughter said, Mom, you'll block somebody in a minute. Yes, I will. At the point I'm at, either you get me or you don't get me. I don't have to be open to those things that are negative. I'm not good at everything, but I can tell you what I am good at. I'm extremely good at. If I'm in the industry engagement, small business strategy, hiring right people at the right time. You want to transform something. You want to start a new program, a new effort. There's nobody better than me. Now, I'm sure there are, but you can't tell me that I'm not the best, because I've been working for 40 years. And in every job I've ever had, I've created history. I've done something that's never been done, created something that's never been done, improved something to a level that's never been done. And it all stems from my father told me when I came in the military. And I'm going to get to your question, Ileana. He said to me, find a good senior NCO and hold on to their coattails. And the second thing he told me was, leave deep footprints. They should know that you were there. And so that drives me in everything I do. I'm always, some people, I've had bosses say, can't you just leave it alone? It's good enough. No, it's not good enough. When it reaches the vision and the intention that I have in my mind, then it's good enough. But guess what? Even then, it's not good enough, because the next year I'm trying to outdo me. I'm not trying to outdo any goal you have. There's no goal you can give me where my goal for myself isn't going to be higher. So, I would say my challenge has been me, because I've always, seen more and before, and there's a penalty for vision. While it's good, but if you get out and ahead of the bosses that you work for, you can be penalized for it. Because there's one of 48 laws of power says never show up the master. Well, nobody's the master of me. God is my master. So imagine that has caused me some trouble. But God has always protected me and kept me, and for that I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for that knowledge and the nuggets. It was a lot, and I appreciate that.
I know that's enough. Let me just say for the last thing, the other thing I'm trying to manage is my intensity. I don't know how to half do anything. And so I'm learning that sometimes that can be a bit much for people, and I need to dial back, right? Instead of trying to give them the full meal, they ask for an appetizer, just give them the appetizer, Michelle. I didn't ask for all that, right? Oh my God. Hey, thank you, RLK. Thanks for everybody for the birthday wishes, Pamela, Christy, others. Thanks, JD, for that kind word. And yeah, faith has kept me, man. So Ileana said, top 2 best conferences that you would suggest I attend and why. And please remind us of where we can find past Sam's bid awards. Okay, so the past award bids information, Ileana, I'm going to save for another session. So save it and ask me next week, and I'll be on that channel next week. But for the top best conferences, one, I don't care if you're a veteran or not, the best conference in the country is run by Rebecca Aguilera Gardier. She is the CEO of Veterans in Business Network. It's a free network. They do mostly commercial, connecting veteran businesses, but all demographics of businesses to the corporate arena. They're mainly in California, but they're going to be in Boston in April. This will be the second year. They do a 1-day session on the East Coast. Last year it was in New Jersey. This year it's going to be in Boston. But Veterans in Business Network is the best. And you say, why? The other one is WeBank, right? WeBank, which is the Women Business Enterprise Network. Don't quote me, but it's WBENC. I know they always have their conference in March. That's coming up. That's amazing because it's literally probably 3 football fields of corporate companies, some government agencies, but mostly corporate companies looking for women-owned businesses. And if you have your act together, and what I mean by, let me see my saying, I'm low on battery. Wait a minute. If you have your act together, meaning, and what I mean by that is, I mean, you know what you're selling, you know your value proposition, you've got all your, plug this in. You've got all of your back office accounting. You can receive dollars, you can pay people, you can hire people, all of that. They are looking for you, and on the spot you have the opportunity to bring value to them. And the thing that I always say is, do your market research, get to know those folks and who's going to be there ahead of time. Register on their website and on their vendor portals ahead of time, so that when you go there, you can have meaningful conversations. Your intent, and I'm still talking about WeBank, your intention for WeBank is to get an invite to the corporate company's party, because they only invite vendors that they are seeking to have further conversations with to their receptions after the day is over. So bring your walking shoes, because it is a lot of people, it's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of women who are also seeking to do business with each other. So but Veterans in Business Conference, as someone who has planned conferences and industry engagements, 40 years. I planned the Tuskegee Airmen National Convention for 5 years. I was the lead for the very first C4 ISR summit for the Air Force. It was the first time every 4-star in the Air Force had, gathered after 9/11, received an award from the Air Force Association for how outstanding it was. So I've been doing conferences, engagements forever. Rebecca does it at a level that is, I am wowed, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that. Wait, we got a special
Happy
guest
birthday.
here. We got Mr. Wonderful Brian.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, love. Appreciate it. So thanks, dear. I appreciate you.
Yes.
But so Rebecca does it in a way where I'm wowed. It is an experience um, every single time. It is a how she facilitates engagement between industry and vendors. Amazing. The food is always outstanding. The venue is always outstanding. Every single time she picks a venue, that is an experience. So when you have the awards gala, it's either in a train station. This past year, we were on the ship where Top Gun was filmed. It's in a air and space museum. It's on the beach, right? um, where you're doing an hors d'oeuvre cocktail venue. It is always, and those experiences, because it's wowing, um, um, brings out all the senses, and people engage at a level that they don't when it's stark and it's so regimented. So I'm an admirer and a fan of not only how she does events, but I'm an admirer and a fan of how she is a veteran organization that doesn't charge veterans to be a member. You do have to pay to go to the conference, but if you want to engage or take training, it doesn't cost veterans anything. And that's not the norm for all veteran organizations. Many times they want to pay you, they want you to pay, everything costs. Only certain members get access to certain opportunities. And, she's got it going on, and it takes a lot for me to, be impressed. So that's why I said that. So I'll answer the other one about, the Sam's bid and past award information next week. So don't forget. Thanks, Eliana. Next question. Anybody else have a question? If you'll type it in on LinkedIn, happy to answer that. Bree, what's up, girl? You got another question? Chanel, you got a question?
I have another question, but if Chanel has another question, I can wait as well.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's mostly just to give your insight to businesses.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend are some of the qualities that a business owner should have to get started and to like be able to scale in the government contracting arena?
Absolutely. Focus. Focus. My 3 words for this year, spell far. Really, it's fair, but far sounds better. If you follow them, you'll go far. And that's focus, alignment, and intentional results. Um, but I think focus is so important. Because too many, I don't want to miss it. Well, they say they need this, I want to be that, and I could do that, and I could. No. What is your sweet spot? What is the thing that you can do better than anybody else in your arena? Or even if you're in the room, the people who can do it better than you are going to be nervous. So focus is the one thing. Alignment is important because you want whatever you want to do to align with your values, your how what kind of lifestyle do you want? Because I say, you can be $1 million business, no problem, but the cost of doing business at $1 million can be high depending on your revenue model. Also, it's about, when I say, what kind of quality of life do you want? $1 million can be made with one $1 million client, two $500,000 clients, four $250,000 clients, or guess what? It can also be made with $1 million $1 clients, and that is takes a lot of effort, takes a huge system to support that. So there's no right, wrong answer. Also, alignment needs to go with your effort, right? When you think about alignment, we're talking about not only does it align with your values, I think that's tremendously important, but also uh, with much risk comes responsibility and comes reward. So, some people want all the reward without the responsibility and without the risk, and you can't do that. Also, how you define success. Your business model and efforts need to align with how you define success. Is that it can be 2 billion, it can be 200 million, it can be 200,000. There is no wrong answer for businesses. It is dependent on how you see yourself. And that's why I do a lot of empowerment, a lot of mindset work, because how people see themselves is the only barrier to their success. The other thing I would say is just because you love it, don't mean they will love it enough to pay for it. I heard somebody say, and I can't remember the quote, um, because I'm always listening and reading, different things, different people talking about business and leadership. And they said, you want to do something in business that they love, and they will pay you for it. If you love it, they won't pay for it, and it's just your hobby. And I think that is so, so important. People come to me all the time and say, oh, I want to do business at VA. And I say, okay, where? Well, I don't know. I just want to get a contract. Well, nobody's giving contracts. You must win a contract. In order to win a contract, you must be doing something that VA needs. And you've got to have the business model to perform that work and be successful at that work in order to be paid. And then even if you're a veteran, you are just competing in a smaller pool. And I think sometimes people forget that. So I would say, focus, definitely alignment with your values. Oh my God, every dollar is not a good dollar. Let me say that again. Just because they're paying doesn't mean you should take them. Be confident enough that if that work, if that client does not match your values, to turn them down. Because why? Because if you do business with somebody who is does not align with your values, you may hire them, or you may go in business with them, but then when you're hiring people, you're having to work with them and their people, and their culture is not the same. Well, guess what? People are going to leave, and you're going to be in this loop of, I've got to rehire, retrain, and there's a cost for that, and a cost for that opportunity lost that you got to go get again. Whereas if you just be more confident and realize what's for you is for you, uh, um, and that if somebody doesn't value you, I think if you haven't read my post recently, I've been doing posts about either you're in the right market or not. And I think that's another thing, Chanel, is people need to understand and align themselves with the right market and the right client. Um, did that answer your question?
Yes, yes, thank you. I agree with everything you said, especially that not a good dollar. Like
Oh,
that's
okay. And sometimes we have to learn that the hard way. But
yes.
I was in business before I came to work at the Department of Veteran Affairs as a subcontractor, and I learned I learned so many lessons that hurt me. Um, that it was, I'll call it a significant emotional events, I should say, and that is the reason for my passion for helping small businesses.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sure it was beneficial to me and others too.
Oh, thanks. Hey, Bree, over to you, girl.
There's actually another question already in the chat.
Okay.
Carmen asked, do you consider yourself a perfectionist? And what other industry or line of work would you have chosen?
Oh my God. Is that Carmen? Carmen Drummond? Is that Carmen Drummond or Carmen Young? I'm wondering if I know them. But well, hmm, do you know my other profession? I wanted to be an interior designer. That's what I originally wanted to major in was interior design. But my father, in his infinite wisdom, my mother and father met at Tuskegee, and my father went through ROTC there. My father said to me, Michelle, you don't know who you are. And I didn't really understand what he meant because I was applying and getting accepted to all these majority, we call them, predominantly white schools. And, most of my young years, you know, I went to all white schools. I was in a all white environment. I was the only Black officer's kid on the post. The whites didn't like me because I was Black. The Blacks didn't like me because I was white. So, so a lot of who I am has to do with the fact that my dad said, if I'm paying, I'm saying, and you're going to Tuskegee for at least a year. If you don't like it, you can, I'll pay for you to go anywhere. And so because Tuskegee did not have um, interior design, and fashion design was the closest thing, I majored in fashion design. And would you believe it or not, the United States Air Force, the world's greatest Air Force, paid for me to get a degree in fashion design and business. And look at me now. So I probably would be an interior designer. I also, if I knew what I knew now, I probably would have majored in communications and been a competitor to Oprah. Just because I love people, I love hearing people's stories, learning about their lives, and bringing light to dark places. So that's probably I would either be a famous interior designer, or I would be having a talk show, and that is something I'm thinking about doing on LinkedIn, is doing fireside chats and interviews with people. I just absolutely love that. Um, and then perfectionist. Who girl? Why you have to go there? Yes, I think, Bree, would you say I'm a perfectionist?
That's a great question, but I was not asked that, so I will
Oh
defer.
no, you did it. Oh no, you did it. Come on, girl. You know. And why you up there cheering, Brian? Don't be cheering. Um, the answer is I was, and some would say I still am. Um, and I'll tell you the thing that really was the biggest transformation for me, right? Was um having children, getting married, you know, um, because you can't control, uh, you know, little people, other people, and you know, a lot of unplanned things happen because you have children. And so I think they helped me realize that there were many standards between um, being a perfectionist and uh, and having some standards that are still high, but you know that zero defect is not is something for the maybe the manufacturing plant, but not necessarily for people.
That was a great answer. We love it. Let me make sure there's no other questions or any
Yeah,
new
yeah.
questions.
Oh, okay.
And There's none right now, but as she has said before, please put your questions if you have any questions for her. Today is her birthday, so we are very lucky to be asking any questions of Colonel GI this evening.
And oh my God, let me just say, do you know that Brianna will call me Colonel in the store? Everybody else will say, Mom, Mom. Why you do that, Brianna?
I respect leadership and excellence as we are discussing this evening.
Okay. I'm telling you, she is dosy doing these questions, isn't she? All right, Bri. I
So,
appreciate you. Love you, girl.
of course. So while we're waiting for some additional questions in the chat, you talked a lot about branding and maintaining your own brand as well as understanding what type of business you and other, of course, businesses want to attract. So my next question for you is, can you dive a little bit deeper and elaborate on a specific experience or accomplishment that you're particularly proud of? And this is a new year, so this is great that you can either reflect on previous year or your career in the military, government as well. So excited to hear your answer.
So you're asking me to reflect on branding. Say that again, please.
No, I'm sorry. The question is, can you elaborate on a specific experience or accomplishment that you're particularly proud of?
Wow. Well, um, having children, being married, is definitely one, because when you look at women as they, especially women in the military, the data says that women, once they get above a certain rank, aren't married, and then you add black female in that, and those numbers are even smaller. So I'm so thankful that I've been have the honor of being a mother and a wife. I would say, for the longest, I was so driven in the military that I thought my greatest legacy was going to be the things I did in the military, but really my greatest legacy is family, and the great leaders that my husband and I have been able to bring into the world, and place them in God's hands, and now we're mentors and coaches, so that's so cool. The next accomplishment, I would say, and I you know one of my mentors said, Michelle, some things in the Air Force came so they were tough, but they weren't really hard for you. And so I didn't even really realize what a significant accomplishment it was to make colonel until I, was doing the research on Brigadier General Select Kaylee Stevens, who's going to be the eighth female to make general in the Air Force, and the Air Force hasn't promoted a general since 2001. So when I kind of reflected on that and said, man, if you get a black female colonel, and I can name them, Renita Alexander, and Cynthia Jackson, and Janice Carroll, and Victoria Bowens, and so many others. Vivian Dennis. So many. I mean, these sisters are bad. I mean, just amazing. I mean, brilliant in their mind, amazing leaders, amazing human beings in their own right. And any of us could have made general, but the system, and the system is whatever the system is. But it clearly, I can tell you, isn't because we, are not capable and able. So, it really made me think about that accomplishment of making colonel. And then I would say another Air Force accomplishment would be when I was the commander of APHIS, and even when I was doing that, I knew, wow, it was a great opportunity, but it wasn't really until I got out of the military. And, when I would tell people that I, run a $1 billion profit loss operation with 7,000 people, 87 locations, 5 countries, 2 states, that people would go, wow. And so I'm really, proud of that, because I do not know if a Fortune 500 company would have allowed a little Black girl from Georgia to have such an amazing, opportunity. And when I tell you that was an amazing opportunity, I pinch myself and say, God, are they paying me to do this? I mean, like, really? Like, I get to eat, shop, and travel, cut ribbons and negotiate land deals for future, military stores. Wow. My office overlooks the Pacific Ocean. Our home overlooks the Pacific Ocean. I've got a driver that takes me wherever I want to go. I'm flying on private jets from country to country, base to base, where military commanders of bases are meeting me at the airplane because they're trying to influence me to have a to advocate for a new store, a new Dunkin' Donuts, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, etc. at their location. Wow, this little Black girl got to do that. So that is probably one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, and all of the women that I mentioned, were base commanders in charge of thousands of people. And that is why I say that, uh, you know, there is a lot of talent that is not being valued and recognized in these senior leaders. And when we transition out, everybody wants to make their veteran employment numbers, but they're wanting to bring these veterans in at lower um, um, jobs, when they should be capitalizing on their strategy, their leadership, their ability to lead diverse. Think about it. We're leading people from young to old, many demographics, races, etc., cultures, and doing it in an outstanding way. And, the one thing that the military does is, there might be 1,000 um, lieutenants that start out, but the pyramid gets smaller when you get to the top. Everybody says that about every organization, but only in the military are the same people competing for the same rank and promotions at those increments. So by the time you get, I don't know why this is saying it's not charging, but by the time you get to the top, and oh, by the way, when I made colonel, there were only 45 Black female colonels in the United States Air Force, and there were only 245 Black males. So my point to you is that if you get to the tippity top, just the competition and what you've had to go through alone um, means that, tells the caliber of people that you're the caliber of leader you're going to get. So I would say that was my, being the commander of the Army Air Force Exchange Pacific region was my, thing I was proudest of in the military. Now, after leaving the military, there are two things that, since I've been at the Department of Veteran Affairs, that I'm extremely proud of, and that is, the veteran certification program. I came to VA, a little over 12 years ago, and I was hired to be the director of the Center for Veteran um, Enterprise. So it changed to the Center for Verification and Evaluation, which is the certification that everybody gets in order to be eligible for contracts, contract set asides as a service disabled or veteran owned business. When I arrived, and this will just real quick, I didn't I interviewed for the job before I applied for the job. And it was because of, this is why it's so important uh for you to help your peers along the way. Sometimes people are so busy impressing people above. Well, impress the people that are along with you. So one of my colleagues, Dennis May, a retired colonel, was running the veteran employment office. He was there when Obama signed that into law, that there would be goals for veteran hiring, across the federal agencies. He said, Michelle, I got a guy here who says he's looking for someone who can run stuff, uh, fix stuff, and get stuff done. And I thought of you. Now, mind you, I wouldn't have even known the opportunity was there. So I went and talked with the guy, and you know, and later on I applied and got the job. Why I'm so proud of that opportunity is because when I arrived in 2011, it would take you almost 2,200 days, about 180 something days, to get verified, which meant the process was so backlogged that if you applied for verification, you cannot get a contract in the same physical year. Well, as I tell everybody, I had hair, and I was 50 pounds lighter before taking that job. But by 2014, instead of taking you 200 days, it would only take you 40. And now it's almost the same. It's about, even though it's transferred over to SBA, it is still take you less than 2 months to get your company verified. It's probably the hardest job I've ever had. Uh, and a lot of that has to do with the politics of veteran certification. We had Congress and staffers calling, the secretary's office calling, staff that I'm coming in with this new idea, new leadership. And who is she doesn't know small business. um uh so you're fighting that, and high expectation. My very first day, I was on the Hill with my boss, who was testifying about what was going on with the veteran certification program. And a guy in charge of one of the veteran service organizations walked up to me and said, "Oh, so you're the new person." I said, "Yes." He said, "We'll see how long you last. We don't. I don't believe that you'll last that long." Well, he told that to the wrong person. Yeah, I worked, the family will tell you, I worked 15, 18 hours a day for almost 3 years to get it down to the 40 days. And we were at that time in 2014, only one of three veteran organizations that were ISO 9000-1 certified. I created the human capital plan strategy. We had change control board. We developed key performance indicators and metrics. And I was joined by some amazing people. uh, you know, um, all veterans who joined me in achieving that success. But it was the hardest job I've ever done. But why am I so proud of that? I'm proud of that because it has enabled billions. On average, VA spends $6 billion or more on veteran, uh, with veteran and service disabled veteran owned businesses, to the tune of about 25% for service disabled and 23% um, for um, for veteran owned. The last one that I'm very proud of course, is the Woman Owned Small Business Initiative, and that came out of, the need, sometime, vision and necessity. Hold on, will drive, the need for change. And so, because VA has always been challenged since 2006 to meet its women-owned small business goal. And the reason for that is because, um, you know, awarding contracts to veterans is law. Uh, the woman-owned small business is a goal. And so you can't say, oh, you're meeting your veteran, so stop doing veteran and now do women. That would be a violation of the Veteran First Law. And so was the catalyst behind the woman, veteran-owned small business initiative. I nicknamed it. I got some, dear. Thanks. I named it #VetBizLady. These ladies are amazing, and this year will be 5 years since the first cohort of 30 women of 29 companies graduated, and they are killing the game. The number one small business recognized at the White House, VetBizLady. You can look, the program, and these ladies have been featured in numerous national magazines. Many of them are on the, Inc. 5000, but they're also, in the top, 25% of the Inc.'s veteran 100 fastest growing companies. They are determined, and they are resilient. They are focused. They play team, which is something I absolutely love. I have a personal mission and vision to enable 3,000 women to become multi-millionaires or $1 million businesses, women veterans, because SBA says only 4% of women-owned businesses will ever achieve or generate more than $1 million in revenue. And the other thing, my other, goal is to enable a $10 billion IT, um, award to an all female veteran owned team. And I think we're getting close. We have a couple of women that are on the VA's largest IT acquisition, T4NG. It's not all female, but for the first time, they reserved a position or a slot for a woman-owned and women veteran-owned business, which I think is just the beginning. And I'd love to see more organizations do what the Department of Education did, and that is to have very specific acquisitions focused on woman-owned and women veteran-owned businesses. And I want to give kudos out to Calvin Mitchell, who did that, in honor of Candace, who was the president of Women in Public Policy, who passed earlier this year. So that acquisition was named in her honor. And I just think that's the way we need to go. There need to be very specific acquisition strategies and opportunities for women owned in areas where women are underrepresented. And SBA has a list of more than 1,000 NAICS codes or that are focused on women owned businesses. Any other questions? Let me see here. Any other questions, Bree? I see we got did Austin coach Sean leave? Okay, I saw he was here for a minute. I didn't know if he was trying to ask a question. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you. Any other questions? Bree, we can wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so.
There's no new questions in the chat. Did you want to answer one more question, or did you want to wrap up and, like you said, just give everybody your ending thoughts in the last 2 minutes?
Hey, Dad. I see you joined us on camera. How you doing? Oh, so somebody said, wait a minute. Somebody said I'm a deputy chief, and we handle a lot. I've only been on board via a little over a year. Our process is brutal. I can use your help. Reach out, buddy. I'm in the global Gardner. I'm my only Gardner-Ince. I'd love to help you and work some strategy. Let me tell you, I worked with Ron Hurdle, who I think is just an amazing guy. He's the director of contracting for the National Cemetery Administration. We worked some strategy. And let me tell you, he came on, he's an Air Force veteran. When he came on, he said, Michelle, we can do this. I said, yeah, we can. I said, let's work together. And so he said, we might be the smallest administration, but we're mighty and we're going to show the big guys how to do it. So for the last 2 years, the National Cemetery Administration has met their women-owned small business goal. Let's go. What's up, dear? You going to say something? Thanks for the balloons.
Oh, no problem. No problem. What would you say, if you have not said this already, to those that are looking at starting a business, what should be some of their first steps?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say if you are currently employed, you're in the best place ever. If you're employed in the federal government, you are in the best place ever. You know why? Because you know Uncle Sam better than anybody else. You know the problems they need to solve, S. You know the needs they need to address, A. And so solve a problem, address an issue, meet a need, and you know the needs they need to meet. Uncle Sam, solve a problem, address an issue, meet a need. You know those things already. All the things that you know need to be fixed that nobody's listening to you about, write them down. Write the problem down, write your solution down. Write the problem down, write the solution down. Write the issue down, write the need down, and then begin to have conversations with your peers. Because guess what? By the time you depart the military or depart federal service, you will have a very good understanding of what your value and what your capabilities should be. And when you start identifying those problems, those issues, those needs, then you go over to sam.gov and you hold on just a minute. I want to put this back. I want people, if you're in business, put that, or if you're thinking about business, put it in the chat. But if you are identify the problem, the issue, the need, what happens is, and you begin to have that dialogue, you're doing your market research, you're flushing out your idea while you are in the space. And then you want to go over to sam.gov and you want to look at, where does that fall, right? Where does that fall? Where NAICS code is North American Identification Codes. Don't ask me, commercial something codes. But anyway, it basically means the numbers that identify your work according to the federal government. So those NAICS codes, like 54611, is 541611 is professional services and consulting, right? Oh, by the way, this is the funniest thing I ever heard. Do you know the government buys escort services? So my point is, the government buys everything. They might not buy a lot of everything, but they buy everything. And so, one of the things that you can do as an aspiring person that wants to do business with the government is understand the client, because most people come in saying, "Oh, I do this, come buy it." Well, no, It's like being deployed or traveling to a new country. You must understand their needs, their problems, their issues. You got to understand their culture. You got to understand the language. You got to understand, who's in charge. Everybody's running around talking to contracting officers. Contracting officers don't determine requirements. They make sure that, administratively, and they coordinate with legal, that everything's in, unless they're buying enterprise wide, supplies, those kind of things. It is the program managers, the program directors that understand, what the requirements and determine the requirements. So, understanding the client, understanding your value, understanding, your ability to do that work is critical. Because my favorite saying I tell the women, the veterans, I said, your client is your man. You need to know your man. Does he drink brown liquor, clear liquor, beer, wine? Is he into football, baseball, hockey, basketball? What's his favorite team? Is he just into the Super Bowl and the, division, games, or is he, watch every time? Is he into golf? You want to know them, and you want to know the language of those sports. The same way you want to know the language of your client. And so, I think spending time understanding those things prior to coming out, and then niching down. Oh my God, everybody wants to be all over the place. Niche down, pick 1, 2, 3 max clients. And I don't mean agencies, I mean offices that have your work, period. And get to know them. Who are the players? And then you want to understand any regulation, any law, anytime they're in the news, bad or good, that's opportunity, right? IG report, GAO reports, bad news is good news for government contracting, because government contractors make money off of government inefficiencies and ineffectiveness. So I know that was probably a long answer, dear, but yeah.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you more.
I see. Mom, is that you? Did you join, Mom? Let me tell you about my mom. Mom, is that you? Can you unmute?
Hello?
Mom, hey, this is the original diva, the OD, okay?
No
Hey,
cam-
Mom, what's going on?
no cameras, please.
No cameras, please. It's okay. No worries. You're not on camera. So nice for you to join us. Anything you want to share?
I just joined in, so I don't know what what the guys are doing, but I think it's really great that Bree and Aaron want to interview you, and hopefully you can share some of your wisdom as you're doing with tips on what the business world looks for.
Well, I've been doing that, but this is Ask Me Anything. So, Mom, you've known me since my first breath at, what did you say? I was born at 106 or 109. What? How long? What was it?
a.m.
106 a.m.
Right.
So you anything you want to tell them about me growing up, you can tell it. Go ahead, Mom.
Well, one thing I would say, first of all, I look at her as being my birthday present because she came 2 days before my birthday. Second of all, I was in labor 36 hours with her, the struggle to get her here. When I saw the child, she was all dressed in her little pretty dress and bonnet and all of that. And of course, most babies have their eyes closed and crying. She's just looking all over the room. Those eyes are dotting all over the room. And my mother said, "Oh, look at that, look at that." And we knew right then the world better be ready for her because she's coming. She hasn't failed. She hasn't failed yet. She's still going strong. So I applaud you and just be you. That's the only person you can be.
Thank you, Mom. You want to tell them about the story you tell about
What?
when I had my little girls club.
When she was in third grade, right, we were living in Georgia while her father was serving in Vietnam, the second tour, and so we bought a house on the corner of on a corner lot in a neighborhood that I had grown up with people in on the street, had gone to high school with them, so we all had children. Of course, Miss Michelle go out and she has to get everybody all organized. She should start a girls club, and of course she makes all the rules, but she was good at that. And it's like no boys allowed, and everybody has to agree to everything. Of course, everything whatever she means wants them to do. And I can't think of anything else. But anyway, I think I gave you the little note. She had written it. I had written her little rules out.
Yes, yeah. One of them was no ponytails because my hair was too short to
Well,
have a ponytail. But I got one now.
you that was middle school,
Oh, that was middle school. Okay.
right? Like she's always gonna, whatever it is, she's gonna find a way to be in control.
Oh, Mom, they're telling the secrets now. You're telling the secrets.
She's my mother.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mom. I'm so glad that you were able to join. I'm the one that's blessed. People say, where do you get your drive from? And I would just say it's in the blood, right? My mom was a servant leader before that became something. She was Army Wife of the Year for 1973 and runner up for the military wife of the year. And she has always set a standard of excellence for us. Her and my father. My father was one of the first Black Army Corps of Engineer officers, and uh, I'm gonna kind of close out with a story that I'm working. I have a book, but still working on it. Um, but that centers around being at the first duty station, with my parents, and because my parents met and married in college, and my father arrived at Germany before us, and so when we got there, we were unpacking, and I probably was maybe 4 or 5 years old or so, and um, my dad said, Michelle, go outside and introduce yourself to some of the kids playing on the playground, and I've always been extremely social, so I run across this is in Germany. It's like a quad. Anybody that's been stationed in Germany, there's like a building, then there's a road that enters on, and each corner in the middle is a playground with four kind of high rise, not high rise like they have now, but maybe 4 or 5 story housing, and so I'm going, around to, the monkey bars. Hey, how are you? I'm Michelle. I just arrived, and then I'm going over to the swings. Hi, I'm Michelle, and the merry-go-round, the swings, and I'm just going around introducing myself, and and then all of a sudden somebody's mother, and I just call it Susie's mom, you know, um, yells from the fourth floor balcony and says, "Everybody come up for cookies and milk." And now, knowing good and well that you know Willie May Hall Gardner would get me for going in somebody's house that I didn't know, I followed 8 to 10 kids up the stairwell, because the higher rank you were, the higher level you got to live on in these buildings. And I ran up the stairs, and I wanted to be the last one because I really didn't know where I was going. And I get to the top floor, and all the kids run in the house. And then I start to try to go in the house because I'm the last one. And Susie's mom holds up her hand and says, "No, not you, dear. You need to go home for cookies and milk." Well, I didn't understand what was going on. I ran down the stairs crying, sobbing, and ran across the playground into the house. And my mom says, um, "Why are you crying? What's wrong?" I said, "They won't let me have cookies and milk." And she said, "Oh, dear, dear, don't worry. I'll pour you some milk and I'll make you some cookies." And I said, "What's wrong? Why couldn't I go in?" And she said, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I will tell you that story is probably the catalyst of why I am, how I think, what I do, the passion with what I do it. Because although that door was closed in my face, the greatest Air Force in the world opened the door to so many amazing opportunities. Being a military brat opened the door to so many amazing opportunities. Um, and I might have been last, but I will tell you the United States Air Force has given me the opportunity to have so many first. And last, I would say that because I know what it's like to be left out, shut out. And most of my life, my dad was the only Black officer on the post. I know what it's like to not be liked and not be accepted. Is probably it not probably it is the reason that I am passionate about enabling women, veterans, and minorities, providing access, providing information to them to determine their level, their model of success, and to increase wealth through entrepreneurship. So I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank Brianna, Bree Ince for being an amazing interviewer. I want to thank Chanel, Lori, Coach, JD, Brian, and Mom for joining. And I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate my birthday. I was going to be here anyway, but I thought this might give you all an opportunity to get to know more about me. Thank you for joining. I'm honored that you tune in, and I'm going to end it like I always end it. May God bless you, bless you indeed. May He enlarge your territory. May He order your steps. May He increase your influence. May He open doors that no man can shut. May He shut doors that should not be opened, right? But most of all, may He bless you, bless you, bless you indeed. May He keep you from evil and keep evil from you, because we all know it can get ugly out there. But God bless you, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks so much for joining in. So honored that you spend your time with me on my birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you.
Birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy
Thank you. Thank you.
birthday.
And thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Bree, Ryan, everybody.
Bye bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.